Let's put on our thinking caps.
Martin is correct about one thing in Frasier's life in Chicago, and the Frasier reboot proves it. Frasier made the decision to depart Seattle after more than 10 years at the close of the previous season. He was intended to move to San Francisco to accept a TV hosting position, but he postponed that to focus on his love life, and he ultimately found a comparable job in Chicago because he wanted to discover the ideal life for himself. He was given the opportunity to dramatically increase his riches thanks to Dr. Crane from the Frasier reboot. But despite this, he regrets it, as was made very evident in Episode 3, First Class. Frasier begins his life over in Boston with a fresh outlook. With more money to spend over his lifetime, he concentrates on what really important, which is improving his relationship with his son Freddie and doing work that is genuinely valuable. Frasier has had a very affluent life, which is shown by the fact that he may simply decide to go to Boston and not be concerned about his income. Having access to that type of riches has benefits, but there are also drawbacks, as Martin warned him about 30 years before. In First Class, Frasier reveals to Alan that Dr. Crane began as a sincere program that sought to help people, but by the time it was over, it had devolved into a gimmicky chat show, which he regrets, despite receiving a significant pay. He quit the job for this reason, and he has no desire to return to it while attending Harvard. If Frasier had only paid attention to Martin's counsel in Frasier Season 1, Episode 9, Selling Out, his predicament would not have arisen. Frasier eventually fell victim to the allure of receiving gifts in return for recommending them on his radio program during the excursion. Eventually, his representative Bebek Glazer pitched the notion of appearing in a lucrative nut ad. Frasier was conflicted about it, so he looked to Martin for advice, and the patriarch of the Crane family effectively convinced him not to sell out. Frasier tried to heed his father's counsel, but he was unable to do so as his Chicago show devolved into a false, money-grabbing venture. He wouldn't have to live with the regret of being associated with something he is not proud of if he had heeded Martin's advice. According to the Frasier reboot pilot, Frasier and Charlotte were partners for a considerable period of time before recently splitting up, albeit the cause of their breakup is still unknown. Frasier didn't need to leave Chicago because of this. He was content with his life there, where he lived with his fiancée and made a lot of money with little effort. He found it tough to leave Dr. Crane because of this. He was scared that making significant changes would destroy the life he had created in the Windy City, so he refrained from doing so. Frasier had no one to inform him of the hard truth about his program when Martin or Niles weren't around.